Hey, Tuesday night Total Schmidt show.
Let's do this!
Hey, welcome to Total Schmidt show. Tuesday night, 6:00. Mike Siegel is the guest tonight. He runs the travel podcast. He also is a comic, works on ships all over the world. Good friend of mine from Chicago. I've known him for many years, and he was nice enough to do this podcast for me from the desert just before he gets ready to head off onto a ship, the Cunard ship in Alaska. So Mike is our guest today. Sit back and enjoy my conversation with Mike. First of all, if you're watching on TV. It's TV. It's not. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, like the video before you know it's bad, and then subscribe to the channel. Do those things. They cost you absolutely nothing. They'd help me out a bunch if you keep an eye above me and below me and watch the show. Take a look at the clips, the videos, the stuff that's going on while we're doing the show. It'll give you ways you can follow us on social media. I'm Mr. Lenny Schmidt on all platforms. And you can also support the show financially by going to payifyoucan.com or go to just simply my website, lennyschmidt.com. Go to the Pay If You Can button. There's all kinds of options up there how you can sponsor the show or support the show financially. There's PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, all that stuff. Here's the deal. I put a bunch of stuff out, and it's free for you to watch and listen to. If you like it and you can pay, then go ahead and pay something. Pay $1, pay $2, pay $5, pay $10,000. Whatever you want to pay. If you really enjoy what we're doing, go to my Patreon page. Look for Mr. Lenny Schmidt on Patreon and all social media platforms, as a matter of fact. But go to Patreon. You can join Patreon for a monthly fee, as little as $1. You can get all kinds of stuff. You get free content, updated content, early content, free shows, live shows, free tickets, merch, all kinds of stuff. The more money you support, the more money you give, the more things you get. For now, sit back and enjoy my conversation with the one and only Mike Siegel. Oh my, where are you at? Wait. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Lenny. How you doing?
I'm great.
You enjoying that piece of watermelon that you put on right as you turned on the microphone?
I know. Very classy.
I've learned one thing over the years. If anybody likes anything, it's the sound of people eating while on mic. Oh, do they love that in their ear pods?
Isn't that great?
Man,
People chewing. It
Yeah.
sounds great. On like a podcast, when you listen to it afterwards, you're like, was I eating a chip there? What did I do there? That was a terrible mistake. Why can't I turn this up so I can hear it more? That's why. Okay, check. All right.
Check.
All right, we're good. All right, man. Where you at, brother? Where you at? We talked about this, but where are you?
I am in La Quinta, California, out here because my girlfriend's dog does not like fireworks. So we, to get out of the neighborhood, we came out here to my buddy has a condo out here by the La Quinta Resort. And as you can imagine, since it's a summer and it's 120 degrees in the desert or whatever it is, I think it's 110 today.
Yeah.
That it's dead here. So it's super quiet and the dog's in heaven as long as we
good.
stay in the air conditioning.
Oh, good. Right on. Smart.
Yeah.
So you're happy in the air and the dog doesn't have to deal with the fireworks for the next few days.
Yeah.
How long you staying? Just
I have to go back. Actually, they're going to stay an extra day. They're going to go back the 5th. I have to go back the night of July 4th because I got to get a ship to Alaska the next day at 7 a.m. Or I got to fly out 7 a.m.
Oh, are you going to Seattle or Vancouver?
Even better. I'm going to Skagway for the first time.
Oh, no.
Flying into Skagway. So
Dude,
I got to, you've done this one. I've never done it.
Many times.
And it's like a little 6-seater plane or something, isn't it?
It's the worst.
Oh,
It's
no,
the
don't
worst.
tell me this.
Dude, the last time I did it was the week before they had one fly into the side of a hill.
Oh,
So,
don't. Oh,
every year,
come
at
on,
least
man.
one goes into the side of a hill. Here's what I don't understand about this flying into Skagway is they have these planes up there that have the small planes that have the things on the bottom that you can land in water.
Yeah, the waterland, the pontoons or whatever.
But they always put me on the one that doesn't have it. And I go, why don't I have the water one? I go, wouldn't that make sense? We're going into a watery area. It would seem, I know there's an airport. Well, they have an airport. Yeah, I know that. But what if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
You'll be all right. All right.
Oh, but I did hear though, if it's clear, it's beautiful. Like
it's great. I love, first of all, I love Skagway. It's one of my favorite cities to go to. And I love the Alaskan cruise. I love it.
Well, I've done, I've been to Skagway a million times just for the day though, but I've never spent overnight there. So this would be kind of weird. I'm kind of actually look forward to seeing what it looks like after all the ships leave at night,
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
all the locals, it's all like temporary workers and kids. And I guess,
yeah,
they
it's
probably go
beautiful.
up.
It's like I've done a couple nights there. There's only like a couple of places open. It's more during the
Yeah.
summer. I think that brewery is open for a while. I think that stays open for a bit. I don't know if you've gone to the brewery. That's a great place.
Yeah. Is it still open?
I think yeah, yeah, it is because
Yeah.
the next door was I guess next door to the brewery was a real good Asian place that everybody went to that had
Oh
pad
yeah.
thai and it closed, but everybody at COVID closed that place down. So
There's like the Star of
yeah,
Siam or
yes, yeah,
something.
yeah, that's it. And
Yeah, I remember that place.
yeah, but the brewery, their food is great. They have their own garden on the roof. Did you know that they have their own garden up there?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I know they have like musical acts and stuff.
yeah. So that's probably a cool. Like at night, if you want to go get something to eat, I'd probably go there and whatever. And it's cool. It's a quiet town. It's cool. You know,
Yeah.
I love
I guess
Skagway.
when the ships leave and then the season's over, like end of October, the population of the town goes to about, I think it's under 1,000. It's
Yeah.
like insane. It's like nobody. It's really nothing.
Yeah, you know what else they do is the last ship of the season. Excuse me. I think I'm on it too. I think I'm on it this year. I missed it last week by a week. But the last ship of the season, there's a tradition for a lot of the locals to go down to the dock and moon the ship as it pulls out of port.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I've heard that story and I've never seen it, but I believe I'm on the last ship this year. I'm not totally sure, but it's pretty
Uh,
close.
well, that's where I'm flying on the 5th. So I leave at 7 a.m. Got to go through Seattle, then to Juneau, and then that little plane.
That's a day, brother. That's a
I
day
know.
too.
It's a long day.
Are you on Princess?
This is going to be Cunard, actually.
Oh, cool. All
So
right.
it's my second Cunard. I was on this exact ship last month.
Okay.
So that was my first time with that cruise line. They only have 4 ships. This is the Queen Elizabeth, the
Okay.
second or whatever. And nice, classy. It was an older crowd, but the season had it was right before um, Memorial Day weekend and stuff. So it's like no families yet. And plus, it was doing a crossing from Japan. It was coming over from
Oh,
Japan.
right. Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
like a 2.5 week cruise. So it was all old people. But now, we're in the thick of summer, so it's going to be a lot of families up there.
Yeah, it's what is it? What's the name of the line again?
Cunard, Cunard.
Man, I've never even
Cunard.
heard of them. Yeah, 4 ships. All right.
A very famous old line. They have the Queen Mary, and
Oh
that's
wow,
their
all right.
most famous ship. But yeah, this is the Queen Elizabeth, and very British, very
Cool.
it's nice.
That
They're really
that'll be
nice.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it should be
Nice.
fun.
Well, good for you, man. I'm supposed to be flying out tonight. Um, I'm supposed to be going, but I'm going into the Caribbean, so I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know. I don't know what that means.
that
Because
which
it,
one? You got to go through Miami to where else, or
well,
you get it
I'm
in?
going to Miami, so it looks like I'm going to come in over the top of this hurricane, but I'm still
Oh,
coming in pretty close to it, and I got to fly through some of the. I don't know yet. I don't know. You
right.
know. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave tonight, and I'm going to go. I don't know. Just we'll see what happens. Because
Has go ahead.
I'm not worried about, I'm not worried about my daughter's always like, well, be careful. I go, I'm not gonna, it's not about getting caught in the hurricane. It's about being stuck in an
Delayed.
airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the hurricane's coming and they don't know how to get me around it and all this other stuff.
Well,
So
maybe you should give them the story. Is any of them telling you that it's the most horrifying uh, plane trip they've ever taken, and one just slammed into a mountain, like you just told me right before right before I'm supposed to get on it?
I try not to tell the daughters that one. They
Yeah,
always,
thank you. No,
anytime there's
just
a hurricane, they call me and they're, are you okay? I go,
right.
that one's, it's nowhere near me. It's really far away. It's like,
The worst is being on the ship during it, because then they start closing ports, and then the
right,
people get pissed off.
right,
Sorry,
right, right.
folks, we can't go to this port today because weather really what it's like, what, dude, come on. What are we supposed to do?
Dude,
Yeah, they don't realize that once you're on a ship, it's the same as being on a plane.
yeah,
You're not in charge anymore.
right.
Like the weather's in charge,
Yeah, yeah,
the machinery is in charge. If something breaks
yeah.
down,
And kind
you
of
have you have to
even
let it
more
go.
so, that captain's
Yeah,
in charge of 5,000 people or four or three or whatever, however many thousands of people are on that. And you can't just stop a ship on a dime or turn,
right.
it takes a little bit of time to make it maneuver a ship somewhere.
I've had things, medical emergencies, we've
Yeah.
turned around. I've had people helicoptered off. You ever see that? That's pretty
Yeah, we just
wild.
had that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. It's mostly old people,
Right.
who have a heart attack or
Or any
something. But
type of heart attack. Well,
yeah,
we had one. I had a one in, and this was just, I think it was just Catalina, but we couldn't. The water was bad, so we couldn't tender. We couldn't get off the small boats, whatever.
right.
But we had a medical emergency, so I'm down on the I-95, and I'm with the cruise director. It just happened to be there in the area when they're pulling this guy out of medical. And I'm walking. We're right by the crew area, the halt, the main elevators. It's a Carnival ship or whatever, and it's that hallway. And this woman comes out. She's like, "How come we're not going to Catalina?" And the cruise director's explaining to her. She's like, "Well, he's getting off." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me? The guy that had a heart attack?
Yeah. You
I'm
want to
like,
follow him to the hospital?
how selfish are you? That you know what I mean?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" It's like people don't realize things are
Yeah,
bigger than their vacation.
exactly. Um, and I know it's frustrating, but I mean, it's just, where that's the way it is. I mean, I don't know how your feelings have gone over the years, but we probably been doing cruises about the same time. I started in like 2015, 16.
Yeah,
And I don't know, like doing cruises is kind of like I'm over the Caribbean now. I
yeah,
don't know how your feelings are. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
once you go there enough and you kind of peel back the curtain of how people live there, and it's
right.
hard, It's not as I'll take Alaska and going on nice hikes in like complete
I love
silence
that.
and peace
I love Alaska. It's my favorite
over,
place to
yeah,
go.
over
It's
walking
great.
off a ship, and you're like within like in pick an island in the Caribbean, you walk off the ship away from the tourist area, and it's like shanty towns, man. It's
Yeah.
rough. It's
Yeah,
rough.
you got to be when you're walking through. Like I'll walk a lot through the cities and stuff. When I used to,
Yeah.
and a lot of ports I don't get off in anymore. I know enough of them that I'll
Yeah.
go. All right, I'm gonna get off here. And my big thing now when I get off anywhere really is just food. I like to go eat something local or somewhere I like to go eat. Like I used to go to different bars and stuff. I don't really do that anymore. But
Yeah.
if I go, I bring my bag and I wrap it around my arm, and you know, what I mean, I'm walking like like you were through. Well, you got to walk like a third world country, and then you're
Yeah.
like. And a good way to people always trying to sell you stuff. And,
Yeah.
I guess best way to get out of that for us is just to work in the ship. And they almost leave you alone every time. Like, okay, bye. All
Right.
right.
Leave your name tag on.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a good
crew.
way. My scam's not going to work on this guy. Let's go. Let me go spend some time on this guy over here with the Iowa
Yeah.
t-shirt on.
But it just takes a lot of I mean, and also I'm sure it was a lot more appeal when when we lived in Chicago and suffering through a horrible winter. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. I could look through past a lot because it was so warm. I just
right.
needed to feel a warm breeze. But now, I guess I've been spoiled with California weather, but now it's just like, oh, this is really humid. It's really hot. It's really poor.
Yeah, I
And it's
hate
just
the
like,
humid,
it's a
man.
bummer. The only good thing I like about it as a diver, it is the warm water.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's good. Cause I was just at the beach a couple days ago here, Venice, and I
Hmm.
jumped in the water twice actually.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah. I
when I
only
wanted to.
I only go
I
between July and mid-October
I
in
knew what to expect
California.
though. I knew like it's a
Yeah.
different in the Caribbean, you're right, it's like a bath. That's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
just and it's so
Yeah.
salty, you float like you can fall asleep floating in the water.
Absolutely.
Just you know what I mean? It's the greatest ever. And it's very real comfortable. But here and I knew though, like I wanted a good cold water, you know, and I got it. I got it. I
Yeah.
jumped in and kicks your ass in LA. So
But it's amazing, a 2-hour drive inland, to go to Palm Springs here. And just, I live by the beach. It was easy a 30-degree difference, almost a 40-degree difference.
yeah. Yeah.
It's really wild to think. Just
Right.
driving to the valley from there, it's been 20, 30-degree differences sometimes.
Yeah, we're 10. Well, I'm Valley, so we're 10 higher today.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's Santa Monica is about 10 or 12 below us. So
Yeah. This has
you can
been Weather
feel it
Talk,
when you
Lenny
drive over
Schmidt.
the 405. You can feel it. You
Oh,
can feel
yeah.
the weather.
You have your arm out the window. You
Yeah.
can feel it. Oh, it's so bizarre.
You're like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's what rent is for. That's
Yeah.
what you pay for.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
what
the
you pay.
extra cash is for.
Yeah. So how you been? You've been you're going to put an end to the Universal Bar and Grill shows,
Last night
or
was the last one. In fact, I didn't go in.
you?
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I had a cold. I had a cold. It's not COVID, but I think I was just run down. I had a real bad travel day Sunday. It was horrible. It was a
Oh,
long day, and it was American Airlines, and it's a long story. But I got rebumped and rebooked 3 times. I had to I ran through every terminal in the Dallas airport, A, B,
oh,
C, and D, not E, but A, B, C, and D. And I was exhausted. I got Monday morning. I thought I was going to die when I got home. Like and none of it was my fault. I'm like,
yeah.
there's plenty of time, and there's some sort of issue with the plane, and delayed here and there. But anyway, I thought it was just run down. So yesterday I felt really bad yesterday, so I took a COVID test and I was negative, but I couldn't go to the show. And it was the last one. And I was like, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. You know what? At the beginning, that show was a lot of fun because a lot of guys, it was made for guys like you that would come in. You were over there one time.
Yeah, I did it.
Pros,
Yeah.
pros come in to work on stuff. John Huck used to come in, Augie Smith. I had some great comics that came in there. But then as time went by, you don't want to do the show. It's a tough room and it's turned into an open mic. And I'm hosting an open mic and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Right. And for me, it was a bit of a haul. It would take me an hour to get there on a Monday,
right.
and it was, I couldn't figure out a good time to go. And it was just like, or I was out of town, most of them.
Right.
But it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, it was. And it was a good hang for a while for everybody and stuff. If I could have made it word, it would. Also, I don't have a Monday open for maybe 8 weeks now. It's just the way my scheduling is. It became too hard.
Yeah.
And then I got like this is a good example. I was in town for 3 days, and one of the days was that show, and I'm like, why am I spending one of my 3 days off?
Yeah. Why
You know,
don't you spend some time with your daughters?
yeah,
How
right.
about that?
6 hours in a
Yeah.
fucking bar in Universal.
Have a life.
Yeah.
Are you going to be up in July up in Alaska? Because I'm going to be up there pretty much the whole month.
I'll be I think I don't hit it till August. I think I'm there much of August and September. In fact, I'm
Okay.
almost positive. Yeah. It's August. I start in the very first week of August.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to
So
tag team this thing. I'm coming back like the 28th of July.
what do you for how long?
A couple weeks, and then I have one gig I'm excited about. I'm doing 4 little short ones out in Europe. I'm going to meet a ship in Reykjavik, Iceland.
Wow.
So I'm going to go out early, and we're going to try to spend a week in Iceland, just kind of touring around. And then I get on the ship, and then it goes down to England. I get like 3 days over to Cork, Ireland, and then I'll have like 5 days off in between until I pick up another one in Scotland. So I'm going to go to Scotland early, try to get a car and drive around the Highlands up in Scotland.
That's the way to do it. I did that run a couple of times too, but I never spent any time there. I spent a day in Dublin, day in Cork.
Okay.
Dude, the day in Dublin just told me I needed a week in Dublin.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Belfast is a really cool town too, if you ever go back.
Yeah, I think my daughters actually were planning a trip to Ireland for 10 days late next year.
Perfect.
We're talking about it now. So I'm always wanted to go. I'm half Irish, so it's kind of a thing. So I want to go. And every time I go there, I've only been to a couple of cities, but man, it's great. There's
a lot of Lenny looking people there. You could blend in pretty well.
I get the skin, bro.
Yep,
Trust me.
absolutely. Much more than the Caribbean, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I don't do well in the Caribbean. I got that special skin block, sunblock I carry with me. It's got steel in it. You just rub it right on your arm. I try to stay alive.
So that one I'll be looking forward to. So I'm going to be gone for about a month.
What line are you on for that one? Is that Princess?
That's all Princess. All Princess. Yeah.
Yeah, I did Princess when I was over there. How you mostly and this God, let me write down. I keep forgetting the name of this other one. My agent just got in with Virgin.
Oh, okay. I've never worked for them. I don't know any comics that have done it yet.
I don't know. They're just start. You know what, dude? I thought they were going to go back. Tell me the name of that other line again. I want to write it down because I keep forgetting.
Cunard, Cunard. I also did one called Azamara earlier this year in March down in South America, which was kind of cool.
Are those obviously they're theater shows?
Yeah, those were in the theater. Speaking of travel nightmares, I landed in I was supposed to pick up the Azamara ship in Ushuaia, Argentina. And for people who don't know, Ushuaia is the bottom. It's like Tierra del Fuego. It's the bottom of South America, that tip in Patagonia. It's like where all the ships they'll stop either going to the Antarctic or coming from the Antarctic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this ship had just come from there, and I was going to meet it, but I had to fly LA all the way to Miami, another 8 hours to Buenos Aires, and then another 3 hours to Ushuaia. And then I land in like 6 a.m. in Buenos Aires. And I was like, it's like a Wednesday in the morning. I'm going, it seems really quiet in here. I go to the desk and nobody's behind the desk. So I'm like, what happened? And I find out there was a national strike, airline strike for 24 hours.
Oh, no,
and it happened to be the 24 hours that I land there. So I couldn't get to Ushuaia. I ended up having to spend a night after sleeping for like 4 hours on a bench there because no one was working at the agency to get me anywhere.
Right,
But
right.
they
Yeah,
found
they're
me
on
like a
strike.
local,
You
they
were
found
the
me a local
example.
Holiday Inn. I stayed there and spent a night, and then I missed the ship, and I wasn't going to get down to Ushuaia in time, and so they sent me to the next port, which like Port of Madryn, I think it was called, and it's like I had to wait 3 days in this little port city, waiting for the ship to arrive, and so I just hung out in Port of Madryn. So, but it actually kind of worked out that I was supposed to be on the ship for a week, and they crammed all my shows for the 3 days I was on. So I was really only on for 3 days,
Right.
and it's not bad. So I got paid the same.
Oh,
So
nice. So you had a little trip around the world.
yeah, it is far though. Don't you think if anything drives you out of this business, it's going to be that the flying. It's going to be you're going to be one night, one delay too many in an
Right.
airport, and you're going to be like, "That's it, man. I can't
Well,
do it anymore."
I do this thing like I always tell us. First of all, any travel day, I assume it's gonna suck. Every single day, I go when I go to the
Yeah,
airport, I just go. It's nothing's gonna go well. So when something goes wrong, I'm like, yeah, it's okay, yeah, sure, yeah, yeah, it's no big. You know what I mean? That's fine.
yeah, I'm
No
there
big
as
deal.
well. I mean, when they tell me every time, I mean, you know this, then they say, "Oh, they'll your ride will be waiting for you at the baggage claim with your
Yeah,
name on a cut."
it's all right.
And I was like, "Okay." And I
No,
know, no, he won't. No,
no,
he won't. I think I'm hitting about 220, 230
it's right.
on a batting average on someone actually being there. Or, or that he's late. You
Right.
got to walk around and like trying to call the number that they leave you and no one answers. And oh, he's on his way or something. Like I've been stranded at so many airports. So I'm like you. It's just like if I know I have connections, if I know I have supposedly a ride waiting for me, I'll just assume
Yeah.
this
Assume.
ain't gonna happen.
My
This
favorite
is
is when they're not there and then they come up to you when they get there and they go, "Where have you been?" That's my favorite.
right.
Like you're the problem. Like, well, dude,
Yeah.
don't even start with where have I been?
I got left at the worst is when the port is like a couple hours away.
Oh, that's a long,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I think that happened to me in Nicaragua or somewhere down there, El Salvador, one of those. And yeah, I get in early in the morning. The port is like 2 hours away. There's supposed to be a van there ready to take me, and no one's around. And they said, "Oh yeah, he doesn't get in till 8 in the morning." Okay, well I landed at 5:30, so I guess I'm just gonna hang out here. And this is a time when like my phone didn't work in a foreign country. I'm like borrowing. My Spanish is horrible, and I'm just
Yeah.
trying
Oh
to.
God. Yeah.
So I was literally stranded in this airport, and finally somebody showed up, and it was like I don't know. That was one. We're pretty savvy travelers, but that was one aspect. It was like I really had to think on that one. Like, how am I going to get out of this? What's the protocol here? And
Yeah.
what do I do? Have you
I
ever
think
like tried to turn around and go like, you know what? I'm done. I'm gonna
yeah,
go back.
I'm just gonna go home. I'm just gonna go home. Well, I'm trying to learn Spanish this year. I got some app. A friend of mine used this app. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not an app, but it's a YouTube program that he
Hmm.
swore by it. So I'm gonna start studying it pretty hard because I think I need to know Spanish. I
Yeah,
really, I heard if you
we all do,
know,
really.
right. If you know Spanish or English, you could almost get around in any airport in the world.
Yeah,
Those two can help you. But
or
if
at
you
least in
don't
the
know
Western
Spanish,
Hemisphere for sure.
right, right, 100%. Because there's plenty of them that where you get to and they only speak Spanish, and I don't. And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
My worst was I was in Dominica. I got off a ship, and they put me up in a hotel, and my guy is picking me up at 5 in the morning. So I come downstairs 5 in the morning. I'm there. There's this little short guy. He's got a van. I get in. He speaks no English. I get in the car, and the way in the back of the van, there's a woman sitting there, and I don't know who it
Hmm.
is. I'm assuming it's his wife, maybe. But the whole way we're driving, and then in the nights, there's still nightlife going on in the city. There's people partying and stuff.
Yeah.
So we drive through, and as we drive by a bar, and as I see like I make eye contact with these guys, and these guys get on bikes and follow us, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the only time I was really worried about my safety, like
Right.
one of two times. This is the biggest one, but I'm like, oh my god, those guys are following us, and then for some reason, the airport in Dominica, if you ever flown out of there, is on the other side of the seaport,
Oh,
so
okay.
you've got to go over the hill and mountain through the forest to get there, and the only way to do is to go through this road that doesn't look like a road. So he at one point, I'm not kidding, we drove over like a giant tree that was the bridge, So we're driving, and these guys are following us for a while, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is it. This is where I'm going to die." And I talked to the guy; he doesn't understand me. The woman in
Yeah.
the back seat doesn't understand me, and it's about a 2.5 hour ride to get to the airport.
Oh,
And the whole ride, I'm like, "This is where I'm going to die. I'm going to die in the woods in Dominica, and they're going to drop me into a river somewhere, and no one's going to know anything."
you're in Romancing the Stone. You're Kathleen Turner.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, it's exactly what it looked like. Yeah, I'm only I'm just looking for Michael Douglas. I don't
yeah.
need a hero. Looking for a guy with a hat. Anyone to save my ass here.
Yeah, I mean, my Spanish is pretty broken. I mean, yeah, I've traveled a lot. So, I mean, I took it for 2 years in college, but I mean, you forget a lot. I mean, I can get the gist of things. I read it much better than I'm not conversational.
Oh,
I don't
really?
really want to get that. Yeah, I would love to get, more
Yeah, there
conversational.
was the pushing point on this program that Tony. I can open it. I think while I'm sitting here. Let me go over here. Wait, no. This is the program. This guy pushed me on this. Oh, here we go. Spanish with Paul is what it's called.
With Paul.
Just called Spanish with Paul, and I got 7 of them here on my hard drive, and then the rest are on YouTube. And I guess the kicker with this, Brent and Sarah. Have you ever met them? Magicians out of Canada.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
They're great. I love their show's great too. By the way, they're
Hmm.
very cool people. But they say he teaches you, the whole point is conversational Spanish. It's not just like words, because you will
Hmm.
learn the words and then you look like an idiot walking around. Hola, ¿cómo está? You're just you can't have a
Right.
conversation with anyone.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good programs out there now. So, I mean, there's really no excuse. And we have the time. And it's my, for about 20 years running, that's been my New Year's resolution to improve my Spanish.
I know.
So I keep saying one day okay, you got to buckle down.
Well, it's July and I haven't even opened these 7 apps yet. So, or these 7 videos yet. So I'm the same way. I'm always
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do it. This is the year. And then December rolls around. I'm like, well, you know what? All it takes is one time. Like Mexico City is the worst for me. I'll get in that airport late at night and there's no one there who speaks English. And every time I get stuck there, I'm going, damn it, this is it. I got to learn it now. This is making me crazy.
Even in the airport, huh?
Pardon me?
Even in the airport, you have trouble. Like no one speaking English.
Yeah, dude, my Spanish is real bad. It's like
Oh, wow. Okay.
it's real bad. Like it bums me out too because I love Mexican food. So like when I go into a restaurant, I want to know what they have. I'm tired of getting fish tacos. You know what I mean? I'm just
Right.
tired. Everywhere is the fish tacos. That's all.
Well, you know what pollo is.
I know
You can get through
pollo,
a menu. I mean,
asada. I know that, but then I get into the menu, and if they don't have the English part of the menu, I can't find some of their cool creative dishes. The
yeah,
tacos are simple. Asada. I
sure.
got all that. Buri, the stomach thing. That's another one I like a lot. So, or buchi.
Hmm.
So, and they sell that. I know I learned that from street tacos here in LA.
Absolutely. Just knowing it would be so helpful around LA.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
we
better
are.
tacos at the stands.
Yeah, I mean, we are officially a minority in LA County. So
100%.
there
Yeah.
you are.
Oh, hey, I'm on podcast. Yes. Okay.
You'll cut that part out, right?
Yeah, I will cut the part. My daughter. Yes.
You'll edit that.
They're great. I was going to do a podcast. Leave me alone, and they always come in. Like, what?
Oh,
No,
sure.
what do you need?
Are they? I have friends with. They're not teenagers anymore, right? Your
Oh
daughters?
God, no. They're 20. Anna's just turned 22, and Lily's 20.
Oh my gosh. So they but are they still texting you all the time
Yeah, we have a
unnecessarily?
yeah, they're good, man. We have a good relationship. I'm pretty lucky actually. So, um, they're good kids. When I'm home, I spend time with them. So they each have boyfriends. So, and then we're good
Okay.
about setting a day. Like we just set a day once a month where we have a dinner where we cook dinner together.
Oh, that's nice.
And they took me out for Father's Day last week. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. They still like to talk to me. So I guess that's good. So I'll take that. I went to the beach with Lily 2 days ago and yeah, talked to Anna. Anna's got it together, man. Anna scares me. She's booking trips, is working 2 jobs, saving money. She's going to Costa Rica this year. She's going to New York for a week. She loves traveling. She's really into it. So,
Wow. How's her Spanish?
not good. She took French in high school for some reason. I don't
What's
know
the point
why.
of that? So did I. Well, it was the dumbest thing. And it turns out we all needed the same thing. We needed Spanish and
Yeah,
typing.
yeah. It's Spanish
You
and
know,
what?
typing. That's
Yeah,
the,
yeah. You
if I
realize
could, I didn't know I'd be sitting in front of a keyboard for the rest of my life.
yeah, right, exactly. No, I was always that good. I was a good typer at the beginning. You know what I mean? Because I would look at the keyboard
Mhm.
and they go, so at the beginning, I was blowing everyone away. I had typing class. And the teacher would go, "You're only doing this because you're doing it wrong." I go, "Whatever, okay," but I'm beating everyone. And then it just takes like 4 weeks
Yeah.
before they're and I'm still.
I was the same with me. I got I ended up studying journalism, and I was a newspaper writer. I was a sports writer out of college for 4 years. That was my first job out of college, and I was still hunting and pecking, using two, three fingers, but you do it long enough, you get pretty fast at it. I was starting to get. I'm never going to be as good as like a professional,
Like a professional
assistant or
typist.
something. But I was doing okay. But you get rusty though, you really do. But I still to this day hunt and peck and look at the keyboard. I can't can't do it. Yeah, I was around in the early '90s. I was writing sports in Chicago, little suburban paper outside of like in Elmhurst around there.
What paper?
It was a chain of them called Press Publications. They had a
Okay.
bunch of like the Elmhurst Press and a bunch of other
Did you do
things.
local sports or did you do the
Yeah, a lot of
right
high
on?
school, a lot of junior college stuff, but it was a great high school basketball area.
Okay.
So I got to see a lot of guys, some guys who ended up becoming pros, like um, uh, Michael Finley and Jawan Howard. I remember seeing in
Oh
the
wow, right on.
tournaments and stuff. You know the movie Hoop Dreams?
Yeah.
That famous documentary. Yeah, I'm in the
Yeah.
crowd in some of those games.
Oh, are you
When I saw
really?
the movie, I was like, wait, I know how this game ends because I was there.
I
And
know
at the
what
time,
happens.
yeah, I remember seeing the film crew following around because St. Joseph's High School
Yeah.
in Westchester was where
Yeah, that was a badass high school,
William went
basketball
to.
high school.
Yeah, and so I knew the coach and everything like that. So I remember seeing that crew around and asking, "What's going on?" It was like, "Oh, they're filming William for this PBS documentary," which is what I guess it was supposed to be.
Right.
And then it just became this film, and yeah, I mean, big. But yeah, I did know how they end. It was like they're going for the state title. I go, they didn't win the state title. They got crashed out of the
They get
semifinals.
crushed.
They
Yeah.
lost the regional. I know where is this going. God, that was so long ago. Yeah, it's amazing to think.
Yeah, and I was
35
kind
years
of
ago.
I was from that area kind of. I was at Bolingbrook. They became good when I left school,
Yeah.
basketball wise. They were really good for a while. And actually they were great football wise when I left.
Oh, really? Did
Yeah, I
you
was on
play
the
there?
last losing team they had.
Yeah, I don't want to say wasn't you, but it's kind of sounding like it was you.
Well, they were losing years before I got there too. I just want to make that clear. Uh,
Yeah. My high school never won anything. So, I mean, we were south of you. We used to play you guys. I played baseball, so we used to play you guys every once in a
where'd
while.
you go?
Crete Monee.
Oh God, I can remember Korea. We played you in basketball all the time. We were in that sick South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were in this. I don't think you were in it. Were you?
Well,
You were in the
we were in
East
four different
or
divisions.
West.
We were in the
Okay.
Illini 8, and then that because at first we were in a division with this is horrible. Joliet Catholic, Marian Catholic, all the Joliet schools,
Okay.
Central,
Yeah.
East, West, us, Romeoville. Uh, and we were in that. That was the 8 or whatever. And it basically was just Catholic beating the crap out of us
I
every
was gonna
year.
say. I mean, you play
It was the
Joliet
worst.
Catholic, they'll crush you.
They were horrible, dude. We played. There were two Catholic games I remember playing. I was on the field the whole second half because we were so injured that I had to play kick, punt, return. I mean, it was just horrible. It was just terrible. And at
Yeah.
halftime, you were down 30-0. It was very demoralizing. So
Yeah. I remember that because I think when I was covering sports, Mike Allstott, who ended up
yeah,
playing
also that was
for
a big kid, Charlie Catholic Hilltopper. Yeah,
yeah, he
absolutely.
ended up. I remember seeing his name around a lot when I was in high school.
And then
Oh,
they
and the
moved us to we were in Sika South or something for one
no, we
year,
were
but
south. You weren't in that, I don't
oh,
think, because we
we were
we had like Kankakee and all the rich school, Rich East, Rich South, Rich
yeah, no, we
Central.
were with Rich East, Rich South. We were in then maybe we were in Sika North that had maybe Plainfield, Lockports because they
Yeah,
moved everything around. Uh, but I remember we played Crete one year. I remember playing you guys in football for sure because you
oh
are one of the
sure,
games that we won. So we actually beat you.
that sounds like us. That
Yeah, so
totally sounds like
yeah,
us.
we actually won. And then basketball. I remember we saw you guys play basketball a lot. But yeah, my mom lived in Coal City down that way, so it was
Okay,
Kankakee and those different
yeah,
schools, that whole area. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah. I remember the one of the years I was writing Mr. Baseball was for the state of Illinois was Cliff Floyd. Remember
oh
Cliff?
wow.
Yeah, he played for like Thornton or Thornridge or one of those on the south side. And he was amazing. But it's so funny when you watch you cover enough high school sports. Um, you see it's like when you hear whatever the sport, it doesn't matter. If you hear like, oh, there's some buzz around this one kid about all these colleges are looking at him or whatever. you don't even have to say the name. You could go there, and within a few minutes, you'll just, oh, it's that one. It's that kid,
Yeah,
right?
you can tell
Because
immediately.
they're
Yeah,
so much better than everybody
sure.
else around them, or they're just bigger and just faster and strong. I mean, you just go, oh, obviously it's that kid, right? They go, yeah,
Right.
it's that kid. It's that kid.
Well, there
And
was
yeah,
you can tell when you see I always crack up when they show high school clips of pro guys running
yeah,
around. I'm like, why are you showing these clips? What, he's obviously the best guy in the whole city area, and he's just crushing people.
yeah.
There's the Derrick Henry runs are great. He rushed for 800 yards in a game. 800 yards in a game. That's ridiculous.
I know. And that's when I look back and go, because I played baseball all 4 years, and I think back, it's like, oh, if we had better coaching and stuff, maybe I could have done some. It's like I couldn't have. Yeah, come on.
Man, you see those real athletes up close, and it's like you're like, wow, there's no way.
Yeah, that was the only kid from our high school, like 10 years earlier or even more, made it to like the minor leagues. I think he got as high as AAA, and this kid was legendary in the school. But even he couldn't break into the majors. I mean, that
Right.
was like, you're lucky if you even get to AA, or AAA. And just when you think of the worst guy in the majors is so much better than you'll ever be.
Dude, baseball's amazing. Baseball, I mean, all the sports are amazing to me, but baseball especially, man. That to be able to develop, like, because we had a pitcher, Jeff, damn it, he was our quarterback too, Jeff Schwartz. He's our quarterback and he's our pitcher. But in high school, when you're a great pitcher, he's pitching like 4 games a week. He's
Right.
doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. Where you're like,
Throwing
I think
curves and ruining his elbow.
yeah, exactly. At the age of 17, you're doing stuff you shouldn't be doing to your body. And I think early on, especially, I think they might have changed the rules recently, but they would ruin these kids early on where they couldn't get to college and they couldn't succeed. I think
Yeah.
there's rules on how much you can use a kid now and what they can use. But baseball is the same way. If you saw a pitcher on, like I sucked at baseball. I never made the team. I tried
Hmm.
out 3 times. I couldn't hit a changeup. I just couldn't. I'm bad. But you would see a guy up there and see a pitch like he'd be like, and you're like, wow, that guy's got
Right.
that's
Yeah.
90 miles an hour. That guy's a real player.
Yeah, and then they get them to college, and they just turn these guys into like beasts, or in the
Yeah,
minors, they just, but the competition level just goes that much higher. But it was really kind of interesting to see, like after coming to California, how the sports now. I have friends with kids who are involved in sports, and they get to a certain level. My friends got like a seventh grader who plays little league, and they said if he's going to stick with it, in California and Texas and Florida, this is where all the pros come from because
right.
they play all year round. And
Yeah.
then you got to get involved in like a club team. It's not just you playing in school. I would,
Oh, dude,
where
it's a
we
whole
lived in Chicago, when as soon as fall comes, you throw the glove in the closet and you don't see it again until spring.
right
These guys play all year
all year
round. They
long.
they travel. They'll go to like, I mean, it's a huge expense. It's a
Well,
big deal.
there's a whole pro business that deals with that tween market from
Yeah.
sixth grade, dude, sixth grade, from sixth grade up until say mid high school years or high school years, and their job is to develop these kids for college and to get them ready to
Right.
move. I'm sorry, not college, but to be a pro. That's what their thing. When my daughter was playing softball and volleyball and stuff, there was a girl she was in eighth grade, and they were scouting her already for UCLA. And they had
Yeah.
it all set up for her to play pro college. And there's Mike Brennan, Brennan, his boys
Hmm.
went through Little League over in Encino, and he was involved in that community. He worked with those guys, and man, they bring them. I mean, they got pro scouts that work with these kids in
I
seventh grade.
know.
It's like they can see a kid early on and know right away whether or not, and then they just get them on this road and they get them going.
Yeah, but they also don't, like my friend's daughter played she's like a junior in high school right now, and she played a lot of soccer, and she was like pretty decent, and doing it all year round, she would do the school season and then her club team and everything, and it was going pretty well, and she became like right around 10th grade, she just kind of looked at her dad and just like, I'm done. I think I'm
Um,
done. And they burned her out,
right.
burned her out. And she also discovered boys, wanted to be a teenager, hang out with her friends,
Yeah, the old well,
s-
which is
have a life,
they suck the fun out of the sports in high school. Like
I
I
think
love
that's what
playing high
happened.
school football. I wasn't great at it. I wasn't good by any means, but man, I'll never forget those years. They were fun.
Yeah.
It was a good time. And
But
you're
you
right
also
now.
did it like 3 months out of the year. You weren't doing
Yeah,
it 24/7 and,
Yeah. Yeah,
traveling and
maybe 6. And we did summer camp. That was always fun.
sure. Yeah.
Whatever, but it wasn't a year-long diet. You got to take
Right.
this protein drink every day for what? 3 times a day. What? Dad, I'm 12. Just
Remember, it's like, I remember that big story of in the 80s with like Todd Marinovich, who played for USC and his dad was a coach. And he ended up quarterbacking for USC and
Oh,
played
yeah,
a little,
right.
but he had a ton of drug problems and really had a lot of problems. But they were saying how like that was so crazy back then that his dad monitored his diet. It was all year round, his training and all this other
Yeah,
stuff. And now they're all doing it.
they all do it.
So it's just like, which I hope they don't have mental problems after that.
Dude, imagine. Well, a lot of them probably develop them because of it. You imagine the
Oh yeah,
pressures of being. First of all, the pressures of being a guy that raised 2 daughters. The pressures these kids go through today is I can't believe it. I don't think I could have dealt with a lot of the stuff they go through now. Let
yeah,
alone if you're in the fast track to being a pro athlete.
yeah. My dad yelled at me at Little League, and there were no stakes involved. You know what I mean? There was no money involved. There was no like,
There's nothing.
He literally drove 5 minutes to the
Yeah,
park to see.
you want to go to McDonald's or not?
Right.
No cheeseburger if you don't get up.
Yeah, if he had made real investment, I can't imagine what I would have heard.
Yeah, because
Oh
it's
my
a
God.
money investment. These
Yes.
parents, that pro program I talked about, it's not cheap. They don't come by and do
Yeah.
it for free.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, and this is true, I've heard this, especially with basketball, because you can sense basketball skills younger, and baseball, I guess. If a guy
Mhm.
can throw like 95 plus miles an hour as a mid-teen, he can be a pitcher, but then you got to be really careful about the way you develop him, because
Mhm.
that's why so many of these young pitchers are getting hurt now. Their elbows are blowing out. They're doing stuff to their arms they shouldn't be doing. But basketball wise, you can catch early on whether or not a kid has talent. And these schools get involved. And now pro teams will hear about these kids. And they have specific divisions that go out and look for these kids. And they'll go check out this kid, check out this kid. And there's a handful of kids. I mean, LeBron James is one of those kids.
Yeah.
You know?
I study soccer. I'm a big fan. I'm a soccer fan. I study the English league more, but I followed it for like 20 years and stuff like that. And they'll sign kids as low
Yeah.
as 13. I think Lionel Messi got signed at 13 and flew to Spain
Yeah.
all the way from, Argentina and really kind of never went back. So,
Right.
I mean, they know early on, but you hear about the success stories, but you never hear about the
That's the
the ones who are
problem.
just kind of like
That's
tossed
what
aside.
especially in basketball. Again, I always bring up basketball because it seems like that was one. They have each basketball pro team has now. There's a when you get drafted, there's a team that comes in that helps you adjust to being a pro and an adult and all these other things. Because you watch I watch those 30-30s a lot. There's
Yeah.
thousands of stories of these guys that were drafted and then they were broke and on drugs in a year and a half, and now they're not playing basketball. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
It's a
because when you
tough
come
life.
from a high school that if you're the best in your high school, everybody loves you and everyone looks the other way, you get away with a lot of stuff, and then you go to college, maybe the same college does the same thing. You get to the pros, it's accountability time, and you're playing the best players on the world, and it
Yeah.
just guys can't handle the mental adjustment.
I knew guys that covered hockey, some journalists, and I remember when at the time, so in the early 90s, the Winnipeg Jets moved to Phoenix and became the Phoenix, well, Coyotes, I guess they are.
Yeah.
And no one was happier than the hockey writers because it's like everybody had a nightmare story about how Winnipeg sucked. They all
Oh,
hated
really?
Winnipeg. Just go, because think about it, it was just frozen, barren outpost and
Yeah.
Manitoba. So think as cold as Minneapolis is, Winnipeg is above that. I mean,
Right.
it's
Right.
so cold.
And it's Winnipeg, not
Oh, and it's
Minneapolis, where
Winnipeg.
you go out to
Yeah.
eat. Yeah.
They were just like, oh, they had all these stories, and all due respect to the good people, I've never been, but man, I heard every story about they got snowed in at the airport. There was nothing to do. There was
Yeah.
nowhere to eat. They hated going, and it's like, wait a minute, now we can go to Phoenix. It's like
Yeah.
perfect
That's
in
like
February, fantastic.
the complete reversal.
Oh, they loved it. They loved it.
Oh man. Yeah, we do. Dude, we're almost to where we at. Let's wrap this up, man. We're good. I think we're good time wise.
Okay.
Let's go. This was perfect. We talked sports for half of it. That's
Yeah, I
great.
know, and Spanish.
We talked
What do you
travel.
What do you usually talk about?
Yeah, travel, sports, and
Comedy?
in Spanish. How do you like? Well, let's end with this. I always talk about this. How do you like shows on the ships, man? We're talking about crowds being older and stuff. How do you find the crowds are adjusting to your material when you're working over in places like Cork and off those ships?
Well, I mean, I haven't been, I've only done one European one though. I mean, the bulk of I was worried about the Cunard ship because I knew most of the people were going to be not just old, but also old and British. So, I mean, there's
Right.
just some kind of like references that don't carry over
Right. Right.
and that kind of thing. But it turned out okay. And it's so funny because I noticed this trend. No less than three people came up to me during the week when they saw me, in the hallways or something. It's like, oh, great show. We had a lot of fun. It must be so hard to be a comedian now. You can't say
Yeah.
anything. And it's just like, I think old people they've gotten this message for whatever media they consume that, yeah, you can't say anything now. You can't. And I go, first of all, you can never say just anything on a cruise ship. I
Right.
mean, this is the most
Right.
policed place. I mean, not Carnival for as much as it,
Yeah, but when they
and
say
I've never done Carnival, but
clean
of
show means
course,
clean show.
right.
There's no gray area with a clean show.
But now, I mean, I don't know what their rules. Haven't done Carnival, but I mean, every other line I do, it's like they're strict, like, hey, absolutely no politics,
Yeah.
no religion. Um, you can be suggestive, but not too many. They don't want F bombs. They don't want that. Even in the late night show, they'll be like, you can say whatever you want. I go, wait a minute, you say that,
Yeah.
but my whatever you want and your whatever
Yeah.
you want are two different
Yeah. Right.
things. Maybe
Right.
you could say like shit every once, a couple times
Right.
for emphasis, but they don't want you like swearing up and down either. Um, yeah, but I just found it interesting how there's like now they're convinced, I don't know, but it must be so hard to be a comedian now. Well, it was never easy. Let's get that out of the way. I mean,
Let's
and
nip
B,
that in the
yeah,
bud right now.
they've just kind of fed this kind of stuff, and I can kind of imagine where they're getting it from, but just like, oh, everybody's so woke now, you can't say anything. It's like, no, you can say whatever you want. It's just you got to pick the venue, and you may not be
Yeah.
mainstream. You're
Right.
not going to get on network TV saying whatever you want, but you could find an audience. Sometimes, guys are, building up a whole new audience being anti
Yeah.
woke or
Right.
whatever
There's a whole
quote.
different market for that
But,
now. Yeah.
this was called political correctness 30 years ago when I started. This
Right.
hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
It's just the media has changed around
Right.
it. But I mean, we were hearing this when we started. It's, oh,
Well,
you can't go to colleges now because there's so I was hearing that crap 30 years ago.
yeah.
It's no
I think the
different.
only difference between then and now is that they try to weaponize the cancel culture thing. And that's what they hear about. They hear about people being canceled, so they hear about people being canceled all the
Right.
time. And people don't understand comedy evolves. It has from day one.
It
You
is.
know what I
And
mean?
like 100 years ago, I found this, I think it was to a comedy book that I read about the history of comedy. It might have been Cliff Nesteroff's book about comedy, but it's like 100 years ago, the number one live comedy thing to see was minstrel shows.
Right.
What I mean?
Right.
So things change, music changes, uh, like music and like whatever's popular, just language changes. You don't say the same things that you did. I just
Yeah.
watched did you watch the new Outstanding documentary about LGBTQ comics?
No, I did
Wanda
not.
Sykes produced it. It's on like Netflix now or
All right.
Amazon or whatever. I just watched it last week, but it's interesting. They play some of the clips from Eddie Murphy's Raw and like
Yeah.
Dice and stuff like that from the '80s, and whoo, some of this stuff didn't. It doesn't age well,
No, it doesn't. No.
and so, but getting angry about it as an old comic. I remember we were starting, there was all these old Catskills guys, who are like probably the age we are now.
Right.
And in guys like Rick, Jerry Lewis and stuff like that, who were saying how, people are funny now. These kids, they got their cable TV now. They don't need an act and
Yeah.
everything that like guys our age are saying about YouTubers or TikTok guy, the same
Right.
thing.
Same shit. Yeah. It's always the
Yes,
same stuff.
young people are going to have their comedy. Old people are going to have their comedy. It's just there's room for everybody.
Well, I
So
think that
relax.
if you want to, I think it's just important to stay relevant. I think that's what you want
Yeah,
to kind of do. If you're relevant, you're fine. The problem is guys get stuck in that. And even back when the boom kind of ended, people were complaining they weren't getting work, and I would be like, well, you should write more. That was always my argument
yeah,
was you should write more jokes. I'm like, why I don't get booked at Janie's anymore. I go, well, no offense, but guys who were friends of mine, I was like, you're doing the same show you've been doing for maybe write a joke. Maybe try to evolve. Don't, jokes about like Hillary Clinton aren't funny anymore now
Right.
9 days, or you know what I mean? Don't, or back then it was Watergate, or the one I see, what's the one I saw recently that drove me crazy was the guy, who's the woman? Oh, the Raina Bobbitt references. They go, come on, man, update
Yeah.
your material a little
Still,
bit.
you saw somebody
Yes,
do it?
oh yeah,
Oh my
yeah, yeah.
God. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, if you're doing those bits, I go, your problems are bigger than cancel culture.
I know. I know. It was always the guys who were complaining the loudest, and then they would go up and you'd see them doing,
Right.
doing the Chinese character with the googly fish bottle, Coke bottle lenses and the buck teeth, and you're going, dude, if this is, Mickey Rooney and Breakfast at Tiffany's. And,
Dude,
roll.
have you ever seen on YouTube any of the stuff in the Red Fox Variety Hour?
No.
You got to just, if you get a chance, Google
Right.
it. Pat Moriarty is on there doing stand up. And then Red Fox is on every comic on there. I mean, it breaks it's all there. It's all, and that was on TV. I mean,
Oh, it was?
this is on television only for like a year back in the 60s or something,
Yeah.
but, and you know how blue he was in the clubs. I mean, he was
Oh,
filthy
yeah,
in the
yeah.
clubs, but every stereotype is just beaten to death on that show. And it's like,
Right.
you're watching, you're like even I'm like turning it down, looking out my window. I'm like, oh, I hope nobody heard that. My
Yeah.
neighbors to think.
But it's just funny. I mean, like when people say, comedy is not funny anymore. Well, you're wrong. I mean, there's a lot of great young comics.
Yeah.
And B, they don't play the grassroots on radio anymore either. So, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Right,
and
right.
the only ones who care about, what mainstream TV or mainstream media is doing are the people over 40 who still consume
Right.
mainstream media. I mean, do your kids watch TV? Or
Oh,
do
God.
they,
Well,
right?
they stream stuff like crazy, but it's
Right. They look
different.
at their phone. I mean, they're
Well,
not sitting around hoping people program something for them. They just find whatever they want.
yeah. My daughter's just addicted to this thing we just watched all of it, Smiling Friends. She likes these little cartoons, Adult Swim, but they find them and then they watch them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, I mean, so they're not, I don't hear young people complaining about mainstream media.
but you know what I do
You know
notice
what I
is
mean?
my daughters say this all the time. Every single time they find a show that they like, they go, they've got Gen Z writers on that show. They say it every single time. I go, really? Because yeah, because there's totally stuff in there that's for us. I go, okay, all right, I get it. And it's just it's so interesting to me because I've seen them watch other shows and they go, these references are so old. This is stupid, and they really acknowledge, they understand that stuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of,
Which brings me back to the cruise ship. People asking what are the hardest shows. I mean, you look out and see a sea of, old people. And I go, well, at least if they're all the same age, you can tailor it.
right.
The
Yeah.
hardest part is what we're going to go into now this summer, especially up in Alaska, where it's like 3 generations of families.
Right.
Oh, there's grandpa, there's the parents, and then the kids, and they're not laughing at the same stuff.
Right.
It's just like, well, I just look at them, well, somebody's going to get disappointed here.
Yeah.
Probably
Something.
2 out of 3 of you. So, and I find like, kids to be much harder than old people. I mean, I don't know what, and
Oh, really?
I'm not
Dude,
surprised. Oh yeah.
I do well with kids, man. I do. I work the
Really?
crowd a lot, so I work the kids a lot. And if you work the kids, I used to teach kids, so I used to teach.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah, it helps a ton. But when you work with the kids and you bring them in the show, I don't bring them on stage, but I kind of do improv off them. The kids are funny. The key with kids is this: you always give them the upper hand somehow, and then they're happy, and the parents are happy because the kids are involved, and the grandparents think it's adorable. So you almost hit all of them
Well, yeah.
if you play to the kids.
Maybe I shouldn't say out loud that I hate children. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
I can edit this later. I'll edit that part
No,
out.
I'm kidding. I wouldn't say it. But you know what? I just don't have any
edit it out.
I don't have any material geared to them, and I don't really
Right.
work the crowd, so it's just like that's where I'm
Right.
lacking. I get much more worried, and also they get restless. They're looking at their phone, they're running around, and that's which I get.
Also, some kids are not good kids either.
That's true
Let's
too.
go that route. Some parents are not used. They're kids that are difficult in a show, and you can tell immediately that that's a bad parent. Like, you know what I mean? I
Right.
know, like, the kid's going to be. So then I avoid them. Like, I'll stay away from them because they're not going to be helpful at all.
No.
And they'll disrupt the show, and the parent won't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. So sometimes I'll find a way to make fun of the parent. Then the rest of the crowd's on your
Right.
side. Then now you won the crowd over because they're trying to enjoy the show. And like, could you tell Johnny to sit down, please?
I'm going to put your theory to the test this summer.
Give it a shot.
Okay, I will.
All right, man. Dude, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy the desert.
Thank you, and have a great 4th of July.
Yeah, I had you two and have safe travels, and I hope you have no delays and no problems going where
Thank
you're
you.
going.
And speaking of travels, you can listen to the Travel Tales podcast, which
Oh, that's right. Yeah, plug your thing. Plug it. Plug it.
yeah, traveltalespodcast.com, and we're on wherever you get your podcasts. And you've been a guest before, and a
Yeah.
lot of comics, a lot of travel influencers and people like that, just talking about kind of what we were talking about earlier of travel places we've seen going around the world, and yeah, that kind of things that can go wrong, like
Yeah.
getting stranded and
Yeah.
wherever.
That's all right. It's better than sitting around your house not doing nothing.
Right?
Being stranded in another country. This is stories you'll never. But the one thing I got to say is, I'm pretty fortunate to have this gig to be doing the travel and things. You know what
Oh
I mean? I
yeah,
mean, it's really cool. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
And I watched some guy on Instagram posted, it's like my day, a typical day, and he was like a young guy. It was like showed him getting up, pouring his coffee, stopping into work at a donut, going, sitting at his desk, selling insurance all day in a cubicle, going to lunch at Chili's, coming back to his desk, going home, and just like doing it all the next day. And I went, man, I'm never going to come out.
I
Just when
won.
I think I made the wrong decision, I see
Yeah,
that and going, well, I avoided a life of that.
I'm done complaining.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, buddy. Safe travels.
Thanks, Lenny.
You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.